Hello again, the unretired engineer here. So this is a free-form discussion today. So instead of trying to put some notes together and remind myself what to talk about, I'm going to just talk to you and see where it goes. So, been talking over the last several weeks about the small business innovative research program, uh, the government's effort to essentially put small businesses into the R&D realm, development realm, in all sorts of different areas, but particularly in to give them opportunities to develop technology that will be of use both to the government and to the broader public. I think it's a very constructive and project. The basic idea being that, in general, a small company is much more innovative, and they're also mostly much more effective in spending small amounts of money for fairly large effects. I think all of that is very true and probably getting more true as time goes along. So it's been a good program. I think it's done a lot of good. I worked on both sides, and it was interesting to generate the topics and to score the proposals and then manage those proposals from the government side. I also worked on the other side in a company where I did quite a few proposals, one significant number, and moved them on. It is a program that is criticized sometimes, and it is a program that some say, well, why do you not get as many big breakouts? You would have thought there'd be these big breakouts. And I think there's a reason for that is pretty intrinsic in that they are small business. There are lots of rules about what a small business is in the United States. And the fact that once you get out of being a small business, by that definition, a bunch of rules start coming in about how you do business with the government, as well as tax rules and other regulatory rules that make it actually pretty hard to move from small to big, or even intermediate, and make it very much a game where a lot of people, they basically angle for being bought out once they've reached a certain point. Their whole thesis is almost like a VC, is I want to take my money and move on kind of thing. It's not the worst in the world, but it does mean that there's a fair amount of churn down at the lower level. New companies being created, growing, and then essentially selling themselves off and restarting. And I think in the long run, that's not a super positive thing. I think the reality is that the modern world needs a lot more medium-sized business, smaller to medium-sized businesses, networked together through platforms. Aggregating platforms allows them to reach a larger number of people more easily, rather than that aggregation being done by big companies providing fairly undifferentiated products. Anyway, my theory of business on that aspect. One of the things that I've talked about in the past is phase one, phase two, phase three. Phase one in the SBIR program is essentially concept demonstration. Is it real? And small amount of dollars, small amount of time, limits what it can be, but it also means that you can move forward. Phase two is a larger amount of money, and some people call it significant, at a couple of million sometimes. I will call it modest. and it's modest in many ways in that as it's a small company, 2 million to a small company is different from 2 million for a big company. But also it is an amount of money that only gets you so far, right? And the whole point behind a phase 2 is take it to a point where phase 3 kicks in. And phase 3 is not necessarily government funded. It could be, but it's often not. The phase 3 is really a transition to industry, and the whole point was, well, can you sell that technology to a large company? Can you become a supplier of that technology to a big company? Or have you developed something that some program finds very good, and then the government buys that from you, maybe through a big company? There's lots of different ways that it can happen, but there is no defined grant path for it. It is one where essentially you have to find the route to that commercial outlet. And programs can have a great deal of success if you are a small business and your SBIR project develops a new product within your portfolio, and you can start selling into your market space, you can maybe do pretty good. And that actually, one of the projects I talked about, the delidding machine, was exactly what happened, and it was a great success. Another one is you develop a technology. It doesn't really have a lot of commercial stuff, but it solves a problem for a particular program. That program then buys your equipment or buys your output from that equipment and moves the whole project forward. And maybe you then turn that into some side business, which is what happened on another one, where the equipment did what it was intended to do, but didn't really solve the problem that we were looking for. But it solved a different problem, and it allowed that company then to start selling components built on that equipment at a high price, relatively high price, in relatively good quantity, building up a stable business. Another success, it solved a big government problem, probably saved a lot of money, and then also developed a new business. So that was a success as well. But in both of those cases, it was not a direct, one of those was a very direct win, but the other one was very much an indirect win, and that is much more the common. So when you are in phase 2, you really need to be looking at, was my original commercialization plan, did it have real teeth, or was it theory? And what can I do to take this to the next level? Does my sponsor in the government have a problem that maybe I can sell him the technology or components? Is there somebody he's working with who has this problem that I can sell the technology to? Is there a VC out there who, maybe they're interested in this technology in a more general sense, and they can help me either sell it on to another company? There's a lot of different things, but it is a non-trivial problem because there is no fixed route to success. It is something that you have to build upon the technology and the contacts that the project kind of develops for you to make it into something that you can take forward and make a bigger success out of. So it is a world that is not easy for bureaucrats to really understand, or lawyers in many ways, because it's not rules-based, right? And it's not regulation-based. It is one that is based upon your path through the world and the accidents of meetings and discussions. And it's one that each project will be its own special little solution set and move forward. So anyway, a little bit on the phase 3 in SBIR world. So hopefully this provided you a little bit of something to chew on, and I will be back with something else in the world of engineering or projects or government engineering interface or even science fiction sometime in the future. Thank you very much. Cheers. Have a great day.